Hey there, what's cooking? Today we're going to be talking about dehydrating backpacking food. So if you've never done it before or you're just curious what I'm going to be eating on my upcoming hike, stay tuned. I'm going to take you through it all. Hey there, welcome back. I am in my kitchen and I am doing some dehydrating in preparation for my hike in Maryland and Pennsylvania this summer. Now, last year when I was attempting my thru hike of the Appalachian Trail, I did a little bit of dehydrating. I took some taco meat, some dehydrated chicken, things like that I could supplement my meals. But I really didn't do a lot of full meal dehydrating. And I've decided this year to tackle a little bit more, partly because I want to get better nutrition. I struggled a little bit with some nutrition on the trail last year, not enough protein, not enough vegetables, and also because I want the extra ease of not having to do as much resupply, which is also an expense issue. I mean, a resupply is not terribly expensive and I kept it down pretty good, but cooking at home is even less expensive. And then finally, the lightness of a dehydrated meal is just, it's hard to top. So I am doing dehydrating for all three of those reasons. And I'm going to go ahead and show you some of the meals that I'm making. If you're curious about dehydrating for your next backpacking trip, there is a wonderful Facebook group on dehydrating backpacking food that I will actually link to down in the description below. If you're interested in joining that, go ahead and apply and you'll be in a community with other backpackers who are looking for recipes and tips and advice on dehydrating. And I have learned a lot actually by being in that group, so I'm very appreciative for the help of everybody who is a member there. And I don't want to waste any more time, so let's get to it and let me show you what I am cooking. This is one of my trail favorites. It is dehydrated taco meat and it goes really well in ramen. I call it taco ramen and it's a super easy meal. It rehydrates really quickly. So I've made about 4 servings to take on my hike in June and bagging it up right now. I am portioning this up before I package it. I'm doing about half a tray. About half a tray for a serving. To go. I'm going to pop this in the freezer, and when I'm ready to rehydrate it, I'll just put a little bit enough water to cover either in the bag or in my pot, and add some ramen if I want, and it'll be a great meal. So here's the next dish to go into the dehydrator: spaghetti with meat sauce. I made this last night and had to put it in the fridge because I've only got 2 of these dehydrator trays. I need to pick up a couple more because I could actually do a total of 5 trays. I've got 4 here and I could do 5 in my dehydrator. This is definitely going to take 2 rounds, or another option would be to cover those trays with parchment paper, which will work instead of these. All right, I'm going to start loading up my trays and I'll just pile it on here and then spread it out. I don't want to do too much on each tray because I don't want it to get crowded by the tray above it or take too long to dry out. So it's going to be easier just to do this in a couple of stages, and it'll probably take, I would guess, 8 to 10 hours to dry. I haven't done spaghetti before, so I'll find out. I'm going to make sure it's nice and even so I don't end up with any kind of wet spots. But I will check it after 3 or 4 hours, and if I need to stir it or rearrange any on the pan, I'll do that at that point. So that one is good to go. This is actually looking a little thick, so I may have to Well, I'll spread it and see. It might just be thick on that side. I think that's my problem. Move it over this way. Another thing about my dehydrator, it's a Jerky Express, and it doesn't have multiple settings on it. It's only got one temperature, which is 165 degrees. And because the fan comes through the center, it tends to blow more heat at the bottom than in the top. So I do have to rotate my pans halfway through the dehydrating process. And there's the other pan, all set to go. I decided, since I don't really have enough left in the pot for 2 trays, I'm gonna go ahead and do a 3rd tray with the parchment paper. So all I really need to do is just take this and trace the circle around it, like that. It's trying to get away from me. It's hard to do this one-handed. So I'll just trace the circle around and then I'll cut it out and lay it on top. All right, here's my parchment paper circle, and I cut it to be just a little bit smaller than the tray. This works great for things that are not too liquidy. Like if you were trying to dehydrate soup or almond milk or something like that, then this probably would not work because it's going to run off the sides. But for something like spaghetti that sticks together a little bit better, it's going to be just fine. If you're not familiar with parchment paper, it comes in a big roll like this. Reynolds makes it, the aluminum foil manufacturer makes it, and there's other brands as well. You can pick it up in the grocery store. And it's a lot like wax paper, only it doesn't have the wax on it. And it's very good for baking because it doesn't stick and it resists the temperature. It won't break down or transfer anything to your food. So it works well in a pinch if you don't have dehydrator trays. But as I said, like the edges won't come up completely, so for liquids you'd probably want the plastic trays that actually have a lip on them to hold the liquid in there. So here's the 3rd tray of spaghetti all ready to go in the dehydrator. And I did want to mention that I used thin spaghetti rather than regular spaghetti, so it will dehydrate faster. And I also broke the spaghetti strands into thirds so that this will be easier to break up once it's dehydrated, and also so that we won't have long pieces sticking out, potentially poking a hole in the bag, which would then make it not airtight for travel. So that's my spaghetti. I'm going to go ahead and get it in the dehydrator, start cooking it down. All right, this is my setup. I have my spaghetti in there and I'm all ready to turn the dehydrator on. I do this in my basement because it's kind of noisy and it keeps it out of the way. But also, if you're not sure about dehydrating, I picked this dehydrator up for I think $7 at the thrift store just because I wanted to try it out. And you can certainly spend way more than that on a dehydrator, but I just wanted to make sure it was something that was going to work for me before I invested. And this has actually worked out pretty well, even though, as I mentioned, it's only got one temperature setting. That seems to be working out just fine. It's just a matter of adjusting the time to dehydrate. I was also able to find the manual online, so I just printed that out and have that for reference for any recipes and instructions on how to dehydrate. So I'll go ahead and turn it on. You can hear how loud it is. Not terrible, but it is kind of loud, and it does blow a lot of odor from the food as it's dehydrating. So that may be a concern for you as well, and you might want to set it aside in a quieter place so it doesn't disrupt your daily living. So I hope you've enjoyed that little look at the food I'm dehydrating for my upcoming trip in Maryland and Pennsylvania. I did a little bit of dehydrating last year. I mainly carried just dried meat that I could throw into my ramen, and I decided this time around that I wanted to do a little bit more. Typically last year I might pick up a Mountain House or a prepackaged meal every couple weeks just as a treat, but I think this food I'll actually like better. I can make sure it's got the nutrients in it that I want, get the vitamins I need to keep me hiking well. So my plan is to have a dinner dehydrated for pretty much every night and have those sent in a resupply box. I'm going to send those to myself before I leave every 4 or 5 days, and hopefully that'll help me not only have to skip some of the resupply time in town and be able to hike quick and fast, but also lighten my load while increasing my nutrition. I hope that's been helpful for you, and if you're not already subscribed, please do down below and hit the bell to get notified when I post new videos, which is usually on Friday afternoons. And if you are a subscriber, if you've been with me for a long time, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you and all the support that you've given me, and I love having you here. So thanks for being here, and happy hiking.